pleasure goes to sleep.
Exactly.
So do I.
You know, you
But
give
me? Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing as the Honorable Clerk Sanders gives the invocation.
Almighty God, we acknowledge that you hold us to account for the way we legislate and administer the affairs of our township and its fine people. We pray for your guidance as we do so. We pray that you would find us protecting the rights of all at all times, that our community and this nation will fulfill all of your purposes. Amen.
Amen.
Okay. Clerk Sanders, please take the roll.
Trustee Reese.
Here.
Trustee Jackson.
Here.
Treasurer Kavanaugh.
Here.
Clerk Sanders, here. Trustee Taylor.
Here.
Supervisor McCray.
Here. Quorum's present. The next will be the approval of the agenda.
To the chair,
Trustee Jackson.
I move that we approve the agenda as written.
Support.
Support by trustee Taylor. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have citizen comments. The first one I have here is Katrina Vaughn. Please come up to the mic and give your name and address. And I just want to make sure, for those that may be here first time, this is a listening exercise for the board. This gives you 3 minutes to talk of whatever you have on your mind, and our job is to listen. Okay, go ahead. Ms. Vaughn.
Good evening, Honorable Board. Good evening, Redford Township residents. My name is Katrina Vaughn, address 14662 Lenore. I am here today to address a pressing concern regarding the 5 Mile Animal Hospital, which is located on 5 Mile. So Dr. Mina has acquired the building and is actively working to expand that building and provide enhanced medical support for local pet owners. The hospital plays a vital role in the community with assisting with lost pets. So as a taxpayer, I'm concerned about the electrical, mechanical, and plumbing inspections that's required by the township. From what I have been hearing as of now, it may take anywhere between 2 to 3 months to have an ordinance officer inspect the property. I just wanted to ask you, is that time frame, is that actually correct? And then according to the posting for Redford Township, I've noticed that there is a plumbing inspector position that has been open since January of 2024. And I'm asking that as a township of approximately 11.25 square miles, can you effectively follow the state rules and the guidelines if there is actually no plumbing inspector hired for this township? Are you currently meeting the demand for plumbing inspectors, and who is actually conducting those plumbing inspections as of right now? And I was just wondering, is that the new community center, is that an issue as far as setting precedents? Is that company or that new project where all of the plumbing inspectors are going, or, is it taking precedence over other people? So my concern is, what do you plan on doing about that? And I want to just highlight that the marquee outside says that it encourages us to support local businesses. And this is my way of actually supporting a local business by asking important questions that address the challenges that are faced in our community. I respectfully urge you to assist the 5 Mile Animal Hospital in its efforts to expand and continue serving the residents of our township. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, I have Terry Seifer.
Mr. Supervisor, I have a handout. Could I give one to each of the,
Sure.
before you start?
Well, but keep in mind, we're not going to be able to discuss this
No,
with you.
I know.
Okay,
This is
all
just-
right.
I know you're only giving me 3 minutes, so I'm
Right.
trying to
Okay.
maximize it by giving some of the stuff in writing.
Mr. Seaver, that we need to keep one for the clerk,
Yes.
for the lady in the back in the corner. You can give it to her later, but
All right,
she's have a
might be on
copy.
the way up.
So your time has started.
Okay. I'm here speaking on behalf of Ron Ambling, who is a 20-year resident of the township, has had a company, been involved in a business. I want to comment on your SNAP program. I think that I would like you to take a look at it, and in particular, take a look at his particular incident. The program is designed to obviously get property that's under tax pressure and foreclosures and stuff. And it's designed to redevelop and develop and get tenants. He's been the victim of a foreclosure that he knew nothing about. He's occupied the building for a couple of years now. According to what I've been told, it was done under a first right of refusal. I'm not sure that can happen because the township purchased the property prior to an auction. The Constitution, state and federal, says there should be an auction, and he's denied his right in terms of the fact that up until 2020, all the counties in the state of Michigan would sell tax property and keep the proceeds. They were challenged on that. It went to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court ruled that they had to pay anything over and above the taxes to the interested parties, and he happens to be an interested party. What happened here was that the township bought, under first right of refusal, the tax property. And my question is, does now the township become the foreclosing authority? If so, they should be following the guidelines as far as notification and stuff. It looks like the township bought the property on August 20th, sold it on September 4th. So is the charter or the ordinance required the township to handle disposal of assets in a particular way, like with bids? In other words, it looks like the township facilitated an opportunity for an investor to buy property for $12,000 that's worth more than $200,000, and there's a mortgagee and there's a land contract person. I've spoken to the mortgagee, and he's indicated that he's received no notification. We filed for a FOIA at the county. I'm asking that the township take another look at this very aggressive investor. He's told him he has to get out. He's filed for eviction. He's just going to flip the property. He's not going to rehabilitate. He's not going to do anything with it. You facilitate an opportunity to make a couple $100,000, and that's not.
All right, thank you, Mr. Seaver. Next is Eureka Etheridge.
That's Eureka.
Eureka, okay. I'm getting closer, I'm sorry.
Okay, it's okay.
Good evening. I am here because I am frustrated.
Okay.
Starting 4 years ago, first of all, I'm sorry. My name is Eureka Etheridge. I live at 14395 Brady. I've been a resident for 20 years. There has been an issue on my block. There's an electrical post that apparently has started leaning. We noticed that as we walk around the post, rocks were washing away, the dirt was washing away. So we'll call, they'll come fill it up. Over the years, we've noticed, especially in this last year, that the pole is actually needing more. A sinkhole has developed across the street at 14398 Brady across the street. Sinkhole has formed. A small dog, small child can fall in. Along my property line, it's gotten so bad that another sinkhole is forming across the street. The sidewalk is caving in. I have called several times, so have my neighbors. Mr. Bell was supposed to call me, never did. Someone named Mr. Mitchell came out, nothing ever happened. It's to the point where I'm at the point where I am ready to just put the caution tape around there. They came out to check it. When they came out and checked it, they left the manhole cover off the sewer. They left it open. My husband had to go pull it to get it close as possible, and they came out and did it. And they did come out and fill the hole up, but it's a Band-Aid because there's plumbing problems up underneath. Something is washing away. I have photos that you guys can slide down and look. You can see with electrical poles, you can share it. The post is leaning.
These
This
are
is the sinkhole.
ours they have?
Excuse me, ours that,
Yeah. Yes, okay.
Sinkhole. Hole is leaning. Sidewalk is caving in, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Manhole cover left open. Irresponsible. Irresponsible. Another one is forming along my property line, across the street. My husband and I take great pride in our home. I'm afraid that it's gonna wash and come down my property line. We spend tons of money. We keep our property up to date, keep it immaculate. And I'm frustrated because it's going on years. No one's doing anything. And I'm trying not to go to media outlets and bring attention to the township. I'm hoping me coming here will help move this along and figure out what is going on, because it's a danger. Anyone, child, dog, can walk past and fall through there. They've been irresponsible and haven't been progressive enough to even come and even call me or let me know anything that's going on. So it's a concern for not only myself, the neighbors, and those who walk their dogs, whatever the case may be. So it's actually a hazard. It's a safety hazard. And as you can see, as Monday time that post go over and take the wires with it. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Next is Brianna Taylor, Historical Commission.
Hello. So I would like to announce that the Redford Township Historical Commission would like to invite you all to the Holly Jolly Holidays, Saturday, December 21st, from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. at the Redford Historical Commission, 12895 Berwyn Avenue, Redford. We'll be having pictures with Santa Claus, hot cocoa, treats, ornament making, more, all free for anyone who attends. So come see us, come see Santa, enjoy ornaments, enjoy music. It's a historical setting, and you can read more about it on our Facebook page for the Redford Township Historical Commission. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Michael Dennis.
Good evening, Honorable Board. Just a real quick thank you to the Redford Festival Committee. We had a wonderful event last Thursday evening, lighting the township tree, which I saw is not on, by the way. So we'll get that fixed once we're done. And I just want to give some big thanks this year to our group that works very hard throughout the entire year. You see all of them there in June at Bell Creek, here for Oktoberfest, our fall festival, and obviously here just last week. And a big thank you to Kathy Anderson, Kim Barrow, Sam Fox, Elise Julian, Melissa Garrett, Michelle Mancini, Nancy McLean, Roger Walker, and Tim Young, and myself. And so we do, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work. We have a very good group now. There's about 11 of us. And I just want to thank them all because it's a giant team effort. Everyone does their part, from the parking at Bell Creek to the fireworks to the Saturday kids area and the Father's Day events, Oktoberfest, Fall Festival here at the whole facility, and obviously Christmas. So just want to thank them all for just doing one heck of a job all season. They do it for free. They just love doing it. They take their parts. And it's a really, really good time. So I've been doing it a lot of years myself, and it's fun to see the smiles and the residents and them coming up and seeing what's happening here in Redford. So that was, I just want to thank all of them. If it wasn't for them, these events would not be happening.
Okay,
So,
thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Just a quick comment, Mike. I want to thank the team, of course, and I want to thank you for pulling strings and having Santa come to Redford. So, thank you.
I was on a naughty list, I saw, though, but so.
It wasn't for you,
It wasn't for me, so probably no.
but thank you.
Yes.
Thank you to the team.
Next is John J. Keenan.
Excuse me.
John Keenan Esquire, 255 5 Mile Road, Redford Township, Michigan. Firstly, congratulations to the board on their new election, and happy holidays. I just want to say that this is not going to be pleasant, and I apologize for this intrusion. But I hope to take the following with good cheer and good faith attempt to suggest some items for your consideration. As a lifelong resident, I was severely unhappy with the financials of this town 12 years ago. I took it upon myself to investigate at that time, and I looked very hard at the bonds and some other things. And I've looked again hard at the financials of the town here, and quite frankly, I'm not completely pleased with it. Of course, the difference now is that back in 2012, you did not have to respond to the state with respect to filing a financial report. Now, that changed in 2012 primarily because the bankruptcy in Detroit and also a municipal problem in Muskegon. Now, we are required to file with the state of Michigan your financial report, and that's my understanding by change of ordinance. The supervisor and the financial director does that, which is a good thing because it provides some information to the citizens that normally we would not see. So in other words, you can't really hide the financials under the rug anymore, as was done prior to and around 2012. Now, with respect to that, I'd like to say that there's some of the funds that are underwater here. The Michigan Employees Retirement System, the Redford Township Retirement Health Care Plan, Police and Fire Fund, and others. The millage rates for the latter, for the Police and Fire Fund, are 10.4 mils now. That equates to about $730 per year for a house with a taxable value of $70,000. Quite frankly, that's really not acceptable. The SAD millage is 7.35 mils, which equates for the same taxable value of a $70,000 home, about $550 per year. Both are more than the general township operating budget of 5.55270 mils, which equates to about $400 per year. All these numbers would be for a home recently purchased in the township for $175,000. That's the average cost of a new purchased home in town, having an SEV of 175 or slightly less. Now, the Police and Fire Fund can be fixed with proper investment guidance. It hasn't been done. It hasn't been done for years, and it should be done, and I'm bringing that to your attention today. Personally, the other entities, I have not investigated. I do not know, but I think the Police and Fire Fund can be handled properly. Now, the last thing I want to say is that I was not really terribly pleased with last year with respect to the increase. There was an 8% increase.
Mr. Keeney, you need to wrap up.
And thank you very much for your time.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next is Teresa Stokes.
Good evening. I just wanted to come and share a couple activities for the holidays that are happening in the Leisure Services Department. So if anyone is looking for something to do, there's plenty of things going on in the upcoming week. So this Friday, Santa letters are ending. So if you have children at home that want to get their letter to Santa before the holiday, feel free to mail it into the community center or drop it off there. We have Grub with the Grinch. That's also this Friday at 6 p.m. at the community center. He made a special appearance at Old Fashioned Holidays, so he will be at the community center as well. We have the gingerbread life-size making decorating party on December 20th at the community center. So they'll be doing life-size gingerbread houses, so any families that are interested. And then cookies for Santa will be December 23rd at 5:30. So if you're looking to bake cookies for Santa and be able to hand them out and leave them overnight for him, we will be doing that at the community center as well. And then the final that I just wanted to say, since this is the last meeting of before the new year, is that our annual MLK breakfast will be held once again on January 20th. That will be at 9 a.m. at Thurston High School. We did push the time back, so it's no longer starting at 7 a.m. We're going to start at 9 a.m. And we will be once again hosted by Thurston High School. So we'll have the Thurston High School Choir, Redford Union Choir, the Pierce Middle School dance team. We have poetry that's going to be read, and some prayers that are going to be put in for a successful new year. So we're looking forward to seeing everybody at our annual breakfast.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is consent agenda items. Treasurer Kavanaugh.
Departmental report.
Oh, I'm sorry, department.
Adam.
God, I already marked you off, Adam. That was a quick report. Thank you. Yeah. Please come again. Okay, Director Bonrack, please give us your report.
Well, since I don't have a 3-minute time limit, maybe that means I should talk longer. I'm not sure now.
Thank you for your report. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Good evening, Honorable Board. So as it's either the Uniform Budgeting Act or the Charter Township Act, one or the other requires that as the township's chief fiscal officer, I'm required to give you a quarterly budget update. And so that's what I am here to do this evening. And I know for some of you, this is the first time we're going through this process. So each quarter, I try to kind of focus on a different element of the budget as we do this. When we do these budget updates throughout the year, we primarily only focus on the general fund, as that is the fund that is paid for primarily out of taxpayer dollars. All the other funds, for the most part, as we'll discuss in the budget process over the next couple of months, have their own funding sources. So we really only talk about the general fund and the SAD because those are both driven by millages. And so this evening, I passed out for all of you a one sheet that's got some yellow highlighting on it, which is really what I'm going to talk about, and then all of the detail behind it for your edification when you have trouble sleeping at some point. You can look at all the lines that make up all the various categories. So one of the things that we talk about often in the township is that, cash flow and cash balance is always a major factor for us. And that is because even though we collect the money for all the taxing jurisdictions, the only time of the year that we ourselves really receive tax money is with the December collections, which most people pay in January and February. Our fiscal year starts in April. So that means we're going all those months without really receiving any money at all. We receive money from the state. That's a small portion of our funds, but the bulk of our revenue and property taxes, we don't get to the very end of our fiscal year. So that means we have to have enough cash in the system to be able to fund our regular expenses that occur every 2 weeks, like payroll, for many months leading up to that. And the other thing that kind of relates to that is it generally takes a couple of months. We work on an accrual system, not a cash system. So when the expense is reflected in the books, so we may pay for an expense in November for something we obtained in September. That means the expense then will be backdated to September, which is when we received the invoice or we obtained the service. So it takes time sometimes for the books to catch up, which is why even though we're halfway through the year, we're not necessarily halfway through our expenses. The other thing that makes things complicated is that we have a large chunk of things that you'll see, and it'll become even more obvious when we get into the full budget process next month, that we do as year-end journal entries. So you'd be like, how come it says that we have this $6 million expense for pension and we've spent $0? We haven't really spent $0. We just haven't done the year-end true-up to reconcile that against the books, and it gets posted at the end. So all of those things I'm kind of saying just as, and it's always complicated to say that the budget, it's never as easy to follow as you might like it to be. All right. So in terms of our revenue for this year, so we at this stage of the game, we've collected about as of September 30th, the end of the second quarter, we have received about 17% of our revenue that was budgeted. And as of November 30th, we had received 18%. Again, kind of going back to the fact that the majority of it all comes at one time in property taxes. I highlighted a couple of items in yellow on the revenue side that were things that I could see you asking questions about. The first one is, on the surface here, it looks like our property tax revenue went down from September to November. What happens there is that our central cash account is kind of the main collection point. So when we receive funds in, it all posts there. And then a couple of times a year, when we receive settlements from Wayne County and after the major tax collection periods, the finance team works with the treasurer's office to then settle those funds and allocate them across all of the various funds that we have. So for example, we collect money for solid waste fees. We collect money that comes in from delinquent taxes for unpaid water bills. We have the money for like the dial-a-ride and the senior program, right? So what happens is that in September, that allocation hadn't happened yet. So the reason it went down is because that difference in money, that was money that was collected that moved to the other funds. So it's not that it really changed, it just got properly allocated. But I knew if I didn't bring it up, someone would ask me that question of why it went down. On the federal grants, we budgeted zero, but we've brought money in. And this is primarily related to, at the time that we did the budget, we did not know for sure if we were going to receive that large federal grant that the fire department received for SCBA equipment. For those of you who are new to the board, we, a group of 6 communities went in together and received a large grant. We are the funding agency, or the fiscal agency for that, so all the money is flowing through our books for all 6 communities. So I'll fix this in the year-end budget amendments, but that's why it started as a 0, was simply because we didn't know we were going to get that. The third thing I've highlighted on the revenue side is interest and rents. This is both a good thing and a bad thing. The good thing is that we budgeted $1.1 million, and we have already received in 2 quarters $837,000. So we have received well more than what we were budgeted for year to date. I just want to point out that as the treasurer can certainly share with you too, all of our investments are guided by PA20, which severely limits where we can invest taxpayer dollars to really essentially only things that are very, very minimal risk. And so therefore, it's very heavily tied to the federal funds rate. So right now, the funds rate is high, so we're receiving interest income. A couple of years ago, this very same line item, we only received like $24,000 for the entire year. So it's a good thing right now, but just it's one of those things that if rates go back down, we're not going to receive that money. Kind of goes back and forth. On the expense side of things, the only one that I really highlighted was just that we have this category that popped up as unknown expense. Our chief accountant has already corrected that, and that actually should be part of the debt service. It was the interest expense related to the debt service within the fire department, or related to like the fire station payment and the ladder engine. So that's all that is, so that'll be fixed. I mean, that's the only one that looked a little funky, like why is it unknown? So you can see that as of November 30th, that red number towards the bottom on the right of 11.7 million. So at this point, we've expended almost $12 million more than we've taken in because of the way our money comes in over the year. And so that means we have to have had at least that much money in the bank. On a cash basis, we had $19.9 million when we started the year, and as we've been burning through that cash while we're waiting for property taxes to come in, we're now down to about $8 million. So our fund balance, our cash balance right now, which is different than fund balance, our cash balance is at a point now that's a good spot for us, but it has taken a lot of effort to get there over the last many years. That has been a big focus. The only other thing that I just kind of wanted to highlight for you as you're looking on here, you know, salary and wages makes up about 72% of our budget, and our capital and debt services makes up 11%. So that's 83% of our budget. So 83% of our budget is really tied to those big rocks that we were talking about in the study session earlier. So we really, in all intents and purposes, as we're looking to do new things in the future, you know, the vast majority of the budget is already kind of fixed. And it really limits how much we can really, you know, maneuver as on the fly. So that's really all I wanted to highlight for you. I know it's always a lot of information. You'll be seeing a lot of me in the next few months as we move into the budget process. But if you have any questions, I'll gladly take them.
Questions from the board?
No, I guess you did a good job.
Okay.
So we will see a lot of you and have opportunities to ask questions about all kinds of good things about the budget. So thank you, Director Ponder.
Thank you.
Now, we're going to go to the consent agenda.
Okay,
Treasurer
thank you.
Kavanaugh.
Thank you, Supervisor McCray. I move to approve the consent agenda items as follows. The minutes of the regular meeting of November 26th of 2024. The warrant list of bills as of December 5th of 2024 in the amount of $2,643,140.82. The second quarter investment earnings report, July 1st of 2024 through September 30th of 2024, on file for audit.
Questions from the board?
To the chair.
Trustee Jackson.
I would just like to commend Treasurer Kavanaugh and Director Bonarek for the quarterly earnings that exceeded $1 million. Good job on that.
Yes?
Thank you. Did you get a second?
For me?
Did you get a second? No.
No.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Again, any questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we go to new business number 1. Just the Director Bonner.
Thank you, sir. Before you is an engagement agreement with Raymond Robson for Human Resource Consulting Services. I think you all were expecting this to come before you. After the discussion we had with them in September, after they completed the HR audit, the supervisor and I signed a temporary agreement with them to get us through to this point. It's already gone very, very well. As I talked about in the study session earlier, they've been great already in helping us find things like that HRIS system. They have a team of 3 primary people that are working with us. All of the directors have had interactions with them already of various sorts. And I'm really very optimistic about this moving forward. This is a not-to-exceed contract, so it's a 1-year contract for up to $85,000 based on usage, which gives us the flexibility that if we decide in the interim that, no, we don't want to go this way anymore, we want to fill the spot permanently now or do something different, we have the ability to do that and it won't cost us anything. It's strictly just billed on usage.
Questions from the board?
To the chair.
Treasurer Kavanaugh.
Just a quick question. With having Raymond with the contract and such, are they giving instruction or helping in any way to the current staff that's there?
Yes and no. Most of that at this point is still funneling through me, but it's like I'm having regular touch bases with them, like from a strategic and from an operational perspective, multiple times a week. And we're going to be, and like they were set in on that HRIS demonstration, the staff will be part of the implementation of that program, right? So they're involved, but they're not really taking direction right now from Raymond.
Okay, all right, thank you. To the chair.
Trustee Taylor.
Adam, couple of questions regarding employee and union relations and kind of point of context as an org chart. Since we've got a company that's going to be doing this for us, if there is, because it also says that they're going to provide assistance with grievances and union standard requests, also assist with employee relations. Who are they assisting? Are they assisting you? If we have a union that has a grievance, do they know who to go to in the HR department now that that director is gone? Is that going to be you, Marcia? Do we have an org chart so everybody within the township knows who do they call?
Yes, the org chart shows that since February, the Human Resources Department reports to Central Operations.
Right.
So I am the director in charge there, and if I was absent, it would go to Supervisor McRae. So all the unions have been directed to do that, and there have been union employee labor relations issues that have come up, and they've been working with me and or the supervisor as appropriate. Raymond has been involved in most of those already, primarily advising myself or the supervisor on how to handle the situation.
So they work with you or with Marcia or with Lisa. That's the assist. They don't assist employees directly one-to-one. They're working at a management level as assistants and not.
At least at this stage of the game. Whether or not that changes in the future, that may change, but at this point, we're only a few weeks in, that's the way we've been handling it.
So so it could change. So if it changes and there is a direct contact person in the HR department for questions regarding whether it be benefits or grievance or any employment question, and they call to HR with a basic question, then it gets delineated out?
Well,
There's nobody in office, I guess is what I'm asking from Raymond.
There's no one in office from Raymond, no, but like they have, 90% of questions that would come from an employee should be handled by an employee here, right? Most of the questions would either go to the personnel assistant, Marcia, or the benefits coordinator, Lisa. There's very few questions that a regular employee would have that would rise to the level of needing to go to a manager. If it did rise to the level of needing to go to a manager, it would then probably come, at least right now, it's coming to me first.
Okay.
I may then direct it back to Raymond, will you handle this? Or I'm handling it myself, depending on the situation. But for the most part, there really is no reason why the employees should be contacting Raymond.
Okay, so then the assistance that it states here is assistance to management?
Yes.
Okay, so the employee should always go to management, and then if it escalates, it goes to department head, then it goes up to HR at that point. So I'm wondering if it's clear, since we're now using a firm to do this and we don't have like a point person in the office, you're gonna be that point person basically.
Right, but even when we had an HR director, what I'm finding is that there's lots of things that would go to the HR director that should not have gone to
That's
the
what
HR
I'm
director
saying.
first.
So within their
So
department.
we are having to do some work to manage expectations that's already being identified with staff, with employees outside of the HR department, that your first person you go to shouldn't be the director. Right, yes, so.
That's fair. Okay, so I just wanted for clarification whether or not that there was, Raymond was gonna be in office, other than all of these other organizational things that they're taking care of with filing and processes and things like that.
No.
Okay, all right. I think that was the only question I had.
But I just want to back up to say, but if we get to the point, and again, it's still new enough that this engagement agreement allows us the flexibility, that if we decided, you know what, we really want someone from Raymond here every Tuesday and Thursday, they would have someone here every Tuesday and Thursday, and we would pay for that based on that usage per this contract, right? Like, we have the ability of doing that. We have not determined at this point that we need to do that.
And they're providing training to our current staff as well?
Yes.
Okay. Well, they also, if we decide, I know that we have the option to either keep this model
Yep,
or go back to a director model.
right.
If we decide to go back to hire a director to work in-house instead of doing this model, do they help with finding a suitable? Okay, all right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Other questions from the board?
Chair.
Trustee Reeves.
Director Bonner, do you expect this 85,000 amount to actually cover all of 2025, or is this kind of just an initial contract?
I do expect it to cover all of 2025. And if that works out that way, that actually will be a cost savings over what it would cost us to have a full-time HR director in addition to the current staff.
Do you think, I noticed in their document, it talked about special rates and discounts and stuff. Is this kind of an initial discounted first year, do you expect, or is this actually the going rate if we continue the relationship?
I think it's actually the going rate. But part of, again, like the pieces that are just all part of this overarching evaluation right now that we're having to go through is that, we were at a point where the HR department had more staffing than it had ever had in its history. And yet it seemed like in some ways it was operating with less efficiency. So like that's part of what's having to be evaluated too right now, right? Like, is the model that we need that we can get away with 2 staff members and a consultant? Do we need 1 staff member and a consultant? Do we need 1 staff member and a director? Do we need 1 staff member and a middle person? Like, we're still trying to kind of figure that out as we evaluate where everyone's at and get the department functioning the way it should be.
Thank you.
So I guess we can say that our employees are still getting the services they need to from the HR department. It's just done a little differently.
Yes.
Okay. Important thing is to get the services.
Yes.
Yeah. Other questions from the board?
To the chair.
Trustee Jackson.
How are they doing the training for the 2 employees that are in there? And we know that those employees needed a lot of development in order to meet the requirements of the positions that they have and the positions that they would like to move to.
Right.
So what's their process for training those employees?
I don't know that I have a clear answer on that. I think it depends on the situation of what we're doing. So they've already been working with them on trying to establish better FMLA processes. They're going to be on site helping with the implementation for this HRIS system, which is going to be a big lift. They were working remotely, working with the team on the benefits fair, or excuse me, open enrollment. So it's just kind of depended. I think we will see them more on site for training once we get into the new year and we really get into the thick of things. We kind of threw a lot at them, like a lot at them.
It kind of sounds like they're going to be learning through processes. If there's a,
Yes, I think that's a good way of putting it. That is a good way of putting it, yes.
Some of, but I say some of it, but they are going to be going to classes.
Yes, like I just sent Marcia last week, she went to an all-day class with MPELRA, which is the first time she had been sent to a development workshop in the entire time she's worked here.
Right.
So when I sent her to Lansing for the day.
so it's a combination of things that will be going on
Yeah.
to develop.
Treasurer Kavanaugh.
This is just a comment that I think I'm really happy that Raymond is coming in to evaluate and to give us our strengths, our shortcomings, and the fact that we have to put a better system in place for, like you said, the HR cloud and what have you, in order to eliminate some of the heavy lifting for the two that are still learning and training. So I think it's a positive, although we still have to determine whether or not we want a director or not for that particular department. So it's good for now.
Yeah.
And I will say
exactly.
that, I think it would be a good idea that once we get 5, 6, maybe 7 months into the process, that Raymond comes and tells us where we're at.
I think that's a great idea, absolutely.
Because I think that the board wants to know what progress we're making. I want to hear from Raymond and what they think is going to happen in the next month or two. I mean, by then they should have a good feel for where they're at and what they're doing in what schedule. And so that way that we can all feel confident that we're getting good results for the money we're paying and can start thinking about which way we might want to go.
Right.
Right.
I think that's
So-
absolutely a great point, sir. And, and we've already also been discussing that even things that we can piggyback is that Raymond will probably be here in January, February, along with our legal counsel on some training matters that need to go before management and electeds even, right? And that could be a great opportunity. One of the 3 main leads for Raymond's coming tomorrow to our department head meeting to have some discussions with all of the department heads. So we are making sure we are including them in those things.
Well, and I just think, and I don't know when the magic number would be, but I want to make sure that we do it at an appropriate time and not when we're 10 months, where we got a couple months to decide if we want to keep them. We need
Right.
we should talk with them and find out how we can break that up so we can get some kind of updates on where we're at. So that way it's not just left on you. Any other
Chair.
questions? Oop.
One more question. Do you know of any other municipalities that have this model?
I know there certainly are others. I don't know that I can name anyone off the top of my head. But this is something that, they're not, Plant Moran offers the service, Raymond offers it, so they're not the only ones who offer the service, yeah,
There are
yeah.
other municipalities. So I'd like to talk to the supervisors of some of those other municipalities because it's a great cost savings compared to actually hiring an HR director and the benefits that go along with that. So,
Yeah.
it's a very, very cost-efficient model.
Other questions from the board? What's the pleasure of the board?
To the chair.
Trustee Taylor.
I move that we approve the engagement agreement with Reben Robson for HR consulting services through December of 2025, not to exceed $85,000 to be paid from Fund 101.
Support.
Support.
Supported by Trustee Reeves. The motion is for approval of the engagement agreement with Riemann Robson for HR consulting services through December 2025, not to exceed $85,000 to be paid from Fund 101. Roll call vote.
Okay. Trustee Taylor?
Yes.
Trustee Reese?
Yes.
Treasurer Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Clerk Sanders? Yes. Trustee Jackson?
Yes.
Supervisor McCray?
Yes, motion carries. Thank you, Adam. I mean, Director.
Thank you, Director Adams.
Yes, misdirection. Okay, next is new business number 2, Director Dennis.
Mr. Supervisor on the board. In front of you, we are requesting the approval of the 2025 Wayne County annual permits. This is a process that we go through every year with the board. There is a resolution attached that we're asking for approval and execution for the 3 permits. One is the annual maintenance permit that we do get. That includes sewers, water mains, sidewalks, and dust palliatives. Annual special events permit, and annual pavement restoration permit. These are the same numbers we have each year. They just change by the year. You see A25043. This resolution will also be attached by a certificate of insurance coverage we will obtain from MMRMA, something the county has started in the last 2 years to show that we are insured. Again, the county has a boilerplate that we use each year. We just change the dates on it. And part of this will state that, that it is necessary for Wayne County for work to be permitted to work with the county road right-of-way or local roads on behalf of the county, that either myself, Tom Rowland, or Sean Sinkfield would be the contacts under the Public Services Department to do any of this type of work. That is what we're asking for today, just to approve the 2025 Wayne County annual permits.
Questions from the board?
To the chair.
Trustee Reese.
Director Dennis, it sounds like it used to be that these were 3 separate applications, but they're still
No, they are.
individual, but they're bundled into one package.
I just do it that way.
Okay.
It's just easier that way.
Okay.
We get these for the last 6 weeks. It's easier to bring all of them to you at one time. They normally send them to us in one email. Over the last few years, they send one on them this week. The next one will be in 10 days. The next one, we have to remind them, hey, I want to take this to the board before the year ends. So that's what happened again this year, is they forgot to send us the special events permit. So we had to contact them again, say we need, so there is a separate application for each.
Yeah.
It's just, we do it as one approval
So
process.
that's something we do
We just
versus
do,
the
yeah.
county's not
No,
motivating or
they do not
incentivizing
care.
us to
Nope.
get it all together.
They just want the resolution, I give them the letter, I sign it, and it's all done for the year.
Great, thank you.
And we'll come back next month with the MDOT permit as well, that we do each year.
To the chair.
Treasurer
Okay.
Kavanaugh, whatever your name is. No, Treasurer Kavanaugh.
I have a nameplate.
Okay, turn this like a no. It's a
Sorry.
Christmas tree.
Just to confirm, Mike, that nothing has changed in the permits themselves.
Zero, nothing.
Okay.
Nothing at
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Treasurer Kavanaugh.
Welcome.
Other questions from the board?
To the chair.
What's the pleasure of the board?
I move for the approval of the resolution authorizing execution of application for Wayne County permits, the annual maintenance permit, annual pavement restoration permit, and the special events permit.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. So motion is approval of the resolution authorizing execution of application for Wayne County permits, annual maintenance permit, annual pavement restoration permit, and annual special events permit. Any other discussion? Roll call vote.
Trustee Jackson?
Yes.
Trustee Taylor?
Yes.
Clerk Sanders? Yes. Trustee Reese?
Yes.
Treasurer Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Supervisor McCray?
Yes. Motion carries. Director Dennis, you have the new business number 3 as well.
I do. Mr. Supervisor, Honorable Board, we are in front of you today to speak about a proposed water main project and it will be financed through the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund. This is actually a two-part. We were in front of you a few months ago as we were revising our application, and I should be remiss that Kelly Rob Acklin from Wade Trim is here also, so if there's any questions, she can help up here as well. So what we're doing this year, this is called Phase 14. Every 6 to 8 years, the water department goes out to bond to do a water main project, so we can keep updating our infrastructure. This year, we did propose to do this prior to the CSO basin, and we were denied for the funding through the state. Again, they have a very excellent bond rate. I think Director Bonner, they're about 2% roughly, yes, which we all learned from the CSO project. So we were denied that financing. We went into the CSO knowing we'd come back to this. So we in turn jumped back to it again, and we applied, and we were told, due to the action level exceedance, we would get bonus points, which we did. So now our project became fundable under the state's program, which we've also received loan forgiveness for this project. So in essence, we're looking at $11 million in funding, $2.7 million in loan forgiveness from the state, but also $2 million of the project will be allocated toward the replacement of identified lead service lines. So we added that part into it, so we have an additional funding source for any identified. We are looking to see if we can transition a little bit of those funds into doing identification potholing. We were in front of you last summer on the board. We received a grant from the state for $600,000 to do potholing, which is where we use the Vector to go to someone's shut-off valve outside their house to see. It's a 3-point verification on each side of the shutoff and then inside their house. So we're hoping to use some of these funds because we have approximately 5,000, maybe a little more, of unknown properties that we do not have paperwork on. They were built early 1900s up to about 1950. So we're trying to identify additional funding sources, and we're already doing those. We've already identified 400 over the last 2 months. So we're constantly going through that process. So $2 million of this would be for lead, either replacement or identification, and the other part of it would be for the replacement of water main. That is the primary goal of this project. We're looking to replace just approximately 27,000 lineal feet of water main, which is over 5 miles. We're targeting this in the southeast corner of the township. We had 5 different target areas. The reason we're targeting that area is there's a lot of areas that have 6-inch water main, and we need to bring that up to 8-inch water main. So we've done some work here for every other street. We have 5 different areas that have also been identified: Telegraph Road, parcel, some loops that are around the DPS building, Joy Road, et cetera. So there are 5 distinct areas. They've all been identified to the state and to this board as well. So to do all this work, as you recall, the state, when they start working with you, put you on one of those, you gotta go, you gotta go, you gotta go. We wanna fund it, we're giving you the money, you gotta go. So we have, just as of last week, agreed to their milestone schedule. We have to have this project to reach their standards, their bidding standards, by May of 2025. We're working together, obviously, with Wade Trim. They've done many of these projects with us in the past. And we are gonna start, design, permitting. There's a lot of permitting. You do water main, obviously from the state, county, and local levels. Multiple permits through the county and state. We have to have draft plans and specs submitted to the state by March 10th, before they can start reviewing them. And then we just kind of go through their issue of permits. Opening of bids would be handled through the township in late June, early July. And we know with our bidding practice here. And hoping to close on this loan by end of August, early September of 2025. In the meantime, getting back here, there is a large amount of design work needed for 5 miles of water main. We are, on the part with the lead, where we've taken that out, we are working with another consultant. We're currently working with phase 1 of lead and also on the identification. So that'll be kind of a separate part of the bonding process itself. And then at that point, we will work from task to task. Again, working with Eagle, Wade Trim, Kelly and her staff will have to meet all of these milestones to keep this moving forward. When you start, as Adam will recall, when we start hitting some milestones and getting a little delayed, they start hitting us up, mainly our rep will hit up Kelly. They'll start, hey guys, come on, we really need to see this. We got to get other folks, other people, local offices, through permitting. They'll say, come on, we have to start seeing this stuff. And then we're submitting. We're trying to take it right to the day because it is a very compact schedule, which is fine. And I have full faith that they're going to do this. So I was looking for, and then there's going to be an awful lot of work to do with the DW SRF, just like we did with the CSO Basin, which was the clean water SRF. This is the drinking water SRF, 2 different funding type of sources through Eagle, but 2 different funds. We're hoping that you will approve the quote to Wade Trim, amount of $498,000. There was an attachment that details fully all the steps we're going to have to go through, from all the design, implementation, permitting, as well as the state levels. And again, we'll be pulling out $2 million for lead. If there's any questions.
Questions from the board? Trustee Jackson.
Mike, how is the 2.751 loan forgiveness amount, how is that amount determined? Is it a percentage?
That was just by the state. They'll go through your application, look at the different, it's
Pretty arbitrary.
Yeah, it is. It's actually broken out of 2 different funding sources. One is out of the federal bill, the bipartisan infrastructure bill. That is $980,000. I apologize, I'm looking at about a 7 font here, so it's kind of hard to read. $980,000, and then the state also provides us $1,771,000. So if you combine the 2, that's $2.751 million of loan forgiveness that we're going to get out of the total project itself. So we will fund the $11,004,000.
Just another question. You did this memo on December 3rd, and on December 3rd, the Wade Trim contract amount was $557,000, but we're approving $498. I mean, I like the fact that it's less, but what changed that?
We took out all the lead part of it. So we wanted to reduce it because they're not going to be doing the lead at the time when they sent this to us. I apologize, I wrote two memos and I thought I sent the other one. I apologize. Because we took out the lead because we're working with someone else. They're not going to be handling that part, so we took that out of the contract, which was approximately $59,000.
Other questions from the board?
To the chair.
Clerk Sanders.
So my question is, I know you said that you have permits and it's a very tight schedule. Will that at all affect the final number that you're showing us?
For costs?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
No, this is just getting them started. I've had this price here for a few weeks. We weren't going to be able to get in front of you last time. Well, I didn't want to come to the very first meeting and ask for such a big ask. So yeah, I was trying to be polite about it. Right? So I'll wait till the second meeting. But it won't change at all. They're going to be on task. They're going to be moving. It's all predicated by their design review going to the county and going to the state. So, because the county will have part of this as well, because we'll be working in right-of-ways. So they'll have to get their eyes on it, as well as all the permits for water mains. It's through Eagle.
Other questions from the board?
To the chair.
Trustee Taylor.
Mike, my question twofold. The $11 million low-interest loan, by taking out yet another loan, is this going to affect our abilities to get the loans for the CSO basins?
We're already done through the,
Is-
Adam, I'll let you answer.
So it doesn't affect our bond rating or anything like that by continually taking out?
Trustee Taylor, it just, and this is actually a different source of funds, there's a different bucket, because this is drinking water, and that one was clean water.
Clean water.
Right, so they're actually, the state, two different buckets of approvals.
Okay.
So the CSO is in a different one than this, it shouldn't impact that whatsoever.
And the length of this loan, the 11 million, is over,
We haven't got that.
We haven't gotten that far, it'll probably be over either 20 or 30 years.
so we don't know the impact of the cost of the water bills
No,
by this loan?
but related to that, I did want to share that, so this is we've been referring to this as Phase 14. So as the township over the last several decades has been working to replace its infrastructure system, right? This was a project that was already on the radar. Every few years, we go out to bond that's planned for around this much money. So from that perspective, this is in some ways kind of routine in the sense that we already knew we were going to be doing this type of project. We're just getting the additional bonus now. They're giving us the money at a subsidized interest rate that's less than we would have paid to the market, right? And we're getting that portion of it being forgiven. But 3 or 4 years from now, we'll be coming to you with Phase 15. That'll be the next chunk of lines to do.
So we'll keep these phases going despite the fact that we're being inundated with cost and work with the two CSO basins.
We have.
It's not something that, because we've got this huge project, that this delays these projects.
No, but on the flip side of that, we're now at the point that kind of as one project is paying off, we're taking on the new project. So it really has very minimal impact. It should have very minimal impact on the rates.
Okay, good.
Because those original phases are getting paid off and are coming off.
Okay, that was my concern, is knowing what the rates are gonna happen with the CSO loan, and now with this loan is like, is it,
And the other one was a capital improvement, which didn't affect our rating because it's mandated on us.
Right.
okay,
Yep.
all right,
Yep.
thanks.
Yep.
To the chair.
Trustee Reese.
Director Dennis, I probably just needing some education from you. I know Wade Trim is a partner with us, so does a lot of our engineering work. For this kind of thing being $498,000, do we get quotes from any other engineering firms, or is it just we have a understanding and partnership with Wade Trim?
They are our professional engineer that's been
Okay.
doing our work for years. They have the whole total understanding of the system, what is needed to move us forward each year.
Great, so that institutional knowledge is part of the package?
It's huge.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yep.
Other questions from the board? Hearing none, what's the pleasure of the board?
To the chair.
Trustee Taylor.
I move for the approval of the proposal from Wade Trim Associates, Inc. to provide professional engineering services for design, development, permitting, and preparation of the water main replacement project, Phase 14, and the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund project in the amount of $498,000 to be paid from Fund 592.
Supported by Trustee Reese. So the motion is for approval of the proposal from Wade Trim Associates Incorporated to provide professional engineering services for design, development, permitting, and preparation of water main replacement project, Phase 14, and the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund, DWSRF project, in the amount of $498,000 to be paid from Fund 592. Any other discussion? Roll call vote.
Trustee Jackson?
Yes.
Trustee Reese?
Yes.
Trustee Taylor?
Yes.
Treasurer Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Clerk Sanders, yes. Supervisor McCray?
Yes. Motion carries.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
All right. Next up is the process approval for filling a vacancy in the Parks Commission. No? She says no, yes. Director Stokes, yes. No, yes, no.
I don't want it.
Okay.
Exactly, I don't want to.
I apologize about that. I thought, so Supervisor McCray and I have talked in regards to the process of filling the vacant Park Commission seat that was not filled during the election. So according to both the clerk's office and MTA, that is actually a board appointment. In the past, the board has allowed the park commission to basically do the legwork for that, so solicit for applications and resumes, as well as do the open interviews for that, and then pass along a recommendation to the board for your potential acceptance. So I'm just coming before the board to see how you would like to handle that, if you would like to allow the park commission to handle that on its own, and then bring, they would actually give all of the applicant's information to you along with the recommendation, so that way you have a choice of who you would like to be able to appoint, but they would say who their recommendation would be.
And I will just say that MTA said it's the obligation of the board to do the appointment as part of our duties. It's not against the rules for the Parks Commission if we authorize this for them to do interviews and collect names, but they must give us a list of names, not just a name of who they recommend. They can say these are the people and this is who we recommend, but the board has to get the whole list so that we can review it and either approve or not approve their recommendation. So I guess what we're looking for is, it says in their bylaws that they can do this only if approved by the township board to do so. So, I guess we're looking for approval from the township board to allow the Parks Commission to do the legwork to actively fill the open seat on the Parks Commission.
To the chair.
Trustee Taylor.
Yeah, I have a copy of their bylaws here, which
Yep.
are about 5 years old, that I'm assuming we've approved then, and I know that we've been through this process with them before.
Yeah.
So I would move that we approve the vacancies processed in their bylaws, allowing the Parks Commission to solicit and vet candidates for the recommendation for the appointment to the Township Board of Trustees.
Support.
Listen, okay, so now we're gonna,
So it's like line 2 here, we'll solicit and vet candidates for recommendation of appointment to the Township Board of Trustees. Yeah. It's under item 6, under vacancies in their bylaws.
okay, all right. Okay,
You
yep,
see it?
I have it,
Oh,
yep.
yep.
In the
That's the
bylaw, I
one.
got it.
Mhm.
Okay, is there a second on that motion?
I did support.
Support by Treasurer Kavanaugh. So the motion is to approve the Parks Commission to solicit and vet candidates for recommendation of the board, a recommendation of appointment to Township Board of Trustees in compliance with the election law.
Yeah, sounds good.
Any discussion? Need a roll call vote on that.
Trustee Reese?
Yes.
Trustee Jackson?
Yes.
Treasurer Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Clerk Sanders, yes. Trustee Taylor?
Yes.
Supervisor McCray?
Yes, motion carries. Thank you, Teresa.
So I just wanted to add, they did speak about this last night at their board meeting in the instance that you did approve this. Since this is the last meeting, is it okay if I just let you know how this process will move forward now? Is that okay?
Sure.
Is that appropriate?
Yes.
So the Park Commission will accept interest letters and applications and resumes through January 8th. We'll go ahead and I'll have all of this posted on the township website tomorrow to let them know, along with like a small little application that they can fill out with their information. Open interviews will be held at their meeting on January 13th at 6 p.m. at the community center. So all interviews will be done in public, open to the public. And the commissioners will rank and vote on their recommendation at their following meeting, which is going to be January 27th. And then they will send the recommendation along with the full list of applicants and candidates to the trustees at their February 11th meeting for approval.
Okay,
Is that good? Thank you.
thank you. Now, moving on to new business number 5 is the discussion to fill the vacant Board of Trustees position. I know that the board received a letter of interest from former trustee King I want to point out that the vacancy, we have 45 days to fill that. And our next meeting in January 14th, and it puts us either at 55 days or 50 days. If we don't fill the position, then the state will call for a special election, which will be a cost to us, and we'll have a special election. To fill this now would be, not for the full term, it'd be a 2-year term, and whoever we appoint to this can either choose to run for the rest of the term, or anybody else can run for the term in the same year as the governor's election, which is in 2 years. So this would be a 2-year appointment, and we are under some time constraint because I don't want to cost the township a lot of money and the clerk's office a lot of work to run a special election. So I guess I'm putting out there, what is the thoughts of the board, or how do you want to handle this as a whole?
To the chair,
Trustee Jackson.
we did receive a letter of interest from former trustee King. I don't think we could find a more qualified candidate than somebody who has already served 6 years on the board. Given that and the time constraint, I move that we appoint Ed King to the vacant trustee position.
Support.
Supported by Trustee Taylor. Any discussion? And I want to make sure that everybody understands this is for only a 2-year term, and whoever wants that to finish out the other 2-year term has to run for election in 2 years, in the primary and then in the general election. Any other discussion?
To the chair.
Trustee Taylor.
Along with my support, I wanted to give my reasoning for supporting former trustee King. Having worked with him for 6 years and sitting side by side with him, he is a man of integrity, never got caught up in the drama. I think he's highly respected in the community. I had several community members reach out and say that they would really like to see him back on the board, if at all possible. And I do not hesitate for 1 second to offer him that position because of the work that he's done and his dedication to the community. And that's why I second it.
Okay, others, a discussion from the board?
To the chair.
Treasurer Kavanaugh.
I'm just going to chime in as well. I think working with Trustee King was essential in order to try to understand what the whole board decides on things that affect the residents and things that affect the employees of the township. And I think he has a good grasp of what this township is and what it's about. So I just concur with my fellow board members on that. So I agree.
To the chair.
Trustee Reese.
Just to add a comment, yeah, former trustee King is extremely qualified. I think in an ideal world, we would have more time to make this decision so that no one feels like we're rushing something through, because I know that's not the intent.
No.
It really is to save the township money, to avoid the costly effort of a special election, and the county board of canvassers, everyone has to be involved in that. And so this really is, I think, out of a heart of service to the township, and knowing that trustee King was someone who knows the business of the township, can jump right in and begin serving right away. And is extremely qualified. So I think this is the right choice for the township financially, from an operations perspective, and glad to see us doing this.
Any other questions from the board? Well, I just want to say that with the circumstances that are in front of us, with the experience and knowledge of former trustee King, I think this is the right person for the right time. Again, this is for only a 2-year term, so if somebody else is interested in running in 2 years, they can definitely do it. And if Trustee King is interested in staying on, he'd have to run for the office as well. So since there's no other discussion, I ask for a roll call vote.
Treasurer Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Trustee Taylor.
Yes.
Trustee Reese.
Yes.
Trustee Jackson.
Yes.
Clerk Sanders, yes. Supervisor McCray.
Yes, motion carries. At our next meeting, we'll have Trustee King sitting on the table, here at the table with us, and in the interim, I'll put a call out to Trustee King and let him know that he's got this job, and to come in and get sworn in, and when we get ready to do that, we'll notify the board, so if anybody wants to attend, they are more than welcome. That's the end of the agenda. Announcements from the board.
To the chair.
Treasurer Kavanaugh.
I've spoken a lot today.
Yes, I mean, yes.
Okay, just really quickly, I wanted to mention the Newman family. This is a card of thanks to the water department, and I think part of it was identifying that they didn't have copper, identifying that they had needs to ask questions and such, and we rarely get the thanks, although a lot of thanks are on the phone that, are the water admin or the water crew that go out and help. I think that the directors have gotten a look at the thank you, but I want to thank the staff. No matter where you are in Redford, we do thank you, but this is few and far between, so I did want to put a shout out there for the water crew and the water department. Thank you.
Other announcements from the board.
To the chair.
Trustee Taylor.
I just wanted to let the public know, because I wasn't aware of it until yesterday, being that I don't have any school-age kids, but yesterday I attended a grand opening, renaming of a facility over at Thurston High School. And if anybody who knows Brian Galdis, who was the superintendent of South Redford Schools for many, many years, they just renamed the Innovation Center, the Brian Galdis Innovation Center over at Thurston High School. We toured the facility yesterday. Oh my gosh, our kids are so incredibly lucky. He brought back the trades with the help, of course, of his board and many, many people. This facility is mind-blowing. They have construction trades, they have welding, they have health services, they have tourism and hospitality and culinary arts. It was just, I've never seen anything like it. It almost kind of made me wish I was back in high school. But it's a fantastic facility. They're always looking for partners to help them offset some costs for the kids that, have to buy things like steel-toe boots for working in the construction area, or other uniforms, or to pay for certifications and things like that. So if you know anyone that would like to partner with Thurston High School, please get in contact with them. I'd like to see this program in this building excel. It was truly phenomenal, the work and thought that went into this facility.
To the chair.
Treasurer Kavanaugh.
To piggyback on Trustee Taylor's, it was wonderful facility, but also know that the students do sell the products that they put together. The culinary also serves lunch as well. So it's a vested interest for us to look at what our youth is doing and what they're accomplishing, especially when it's hands-on. So it's phenomenal. It truly is.
They have a cafe called The Nest, where
Yes.
you can go and have brunch there, and the kids are cooking the food for you.
And serving. Yep.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Don't walk all over the
Intended.
treasurer, will you?
That's all right.
Oh, no.
Any other announcements?
And to piggyback on that,
Okay. We are going to reseat everyone, because I'm getting a stiff neck looking here. Okay, go ahead.
the Nest also is available if you want to host a meeting there. And that's another opportunity for funding for the facility, and the kids also cook the food for your event. And it is an absolutely fabulous event. I've been there twice. They did a grand opening back in May, but they named it yesterday. And the food that the children prepare is absolutely fabulous. It mirrors any restaurant that you have in the area.
Having been there a couple of times, I would say it can easily hold 50 to 60 people.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
And it is wonderful to see the trays come back.
Other announcements, go ahead.
Is there a fee? How much is
Yes.
the fee for?
There is a fee. There's a fee if you go there. We don't know what that is. When we go there, it's because of my invitation.
Or go on the website.
Or go on the website. And I know that they're not open in the evening right now. It's like from 10.
They have too many
to
holiday
1,
parties right
10
now.
to 1 or something
Yeah.
like that. So it's a good place to go for lunch. You're welcome. Anybody else? Okay. I want to make the following appointments for this next four-year term. The SEMCOG rep for Redford Township would be Treasurer Kavanaugh. The alternate will be Trustee Jackson. For the Planning Commission, Trustee Taylor will be our representative of the Planning Commission. Trustee Reese will be our representative on ZBA. And Trustee Taylor is going to continue on the Diversity and Inclusion. So that's those. Again, I want to thank the Festival Committee, because if you're around Town Hall at all, you'll see all these people moving around and you wonder what they're doing, and they're putting everything together. So when we get there, it's like magic already happened. And when it's all over, we go home and get warm and they're still there. They have to clean up and tear down and do all the things that are important. So I can't say thanks enough to the total Festival Committee. I also want to, it's my pleasure to wish our clerk Sanders a happy birthday. Her birthday is tomorrow. It's my pleasure, and enjoy your day tomorrow.
Thank you.
Other than that, it's, one good thing after another. We'll be back next year, unless something happens, and we hope it doesn't, unless it's really good stuff. So, from the Township Board and from my family to yours, have a safe and pleasant holidays and a Merry Christmas. So if there's nothing else before the board, this meeting's adjourned.
Raise the roof.